is,
and all
you
that
know,
stuff. And
which definitely does bring us to, the history lesson part of your article, which I want to just touch on for a minute, because this is
yeah.
so cool, that uh, this crop of socialists going to the state assembly is certainly more, diverse in the backgrounds they come from, not all male, etc. But this is not the first time there have been several people from a socialist organization in the New York State Assembly. Can you talk about that for a minute?
So this is just one of those things that you just love learning. Our little victory of electing 5 socialists from one organization to the New York State government in 2020 was a lovely way to celebrate the centennial of a little known piece of earlier socialist history. So in 1919, 5 socialists from the Socialist Party, Eugene V. Debs's party, which I think later became Socialist Party of America, but yeah, I think at this point it's just Socialist Party, and and they were like, some of them were already in the assembly, and some of them were elected for the first time, much like our candidates. You're absolutely right, they were not as diverse as the slate that we just elected. They were all white, none of them were African American, and they were also all men. But similarly, some of them did come from immigrant communities at that time, and some and were working class people, and they had a very similar agenda to our current socialists, in that I just love this way that that 2 of them wrote about it. They described their socialist principles this way: to make the lives of the people happier. Their daily question was this: is this for the benefit of the workers? If it is, we're for it. If it is not, we're against it. And I just thought that's something
Yeah.
that's unchanged. I mean, socialists are just really doing the same things that we've always been doing. And so they so it is quite a story. They were elected in 1919, and by the way, at that point, assembly terms were only 1 year, which for those of us who have volunteered even a little bit on these recent
It's
campaigns,
kind of
like,
daunting thinking about having
oh,
to do that again
because
every
those
year.
poor people had to do it again every year. And I'm sure that it took just as much work then as it does now. So that's something to be thankful for. But yeah, so the assembly campaigns were only a year, and they were elected, and then the country was in the grip of the Red Scare, which was a total panic, caused by a total panic in the American ruling class, prompted by the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution,
Right.
and the U.S. ruling class was absolutely convinced that something like that was just around the corner here, and that, I mean, not completely without basis,
Right.
because there was a lot of radical organizing going on
Mm-hmm.
here, and there was a lot of and there and in fact, that Red Scare had a very anti-immigrant
Mm.
component, which was not simplistically just racist. I mean, the ruling class correctly noticed that a lot of people coming from other countries had more radical and
Right.
more leftist views, and were fairly good organizers, at good at convincing the native-born working class that socialism had some merits, and so there was a so So just following the Palmer
Hmm.
raids, in which Woodrow Wilson's government targeted and tried to deport successfully in some cases a number of leftist immigrants, um, the Republicans and Democrats in the New York State Assembly voted to expel our five socialists in 1919. And they had them forcibly removed by armed police when they refused to leave the Capitol. In a account I read about this at the time, reportedly, a few Democrats were a little embarrassed about having done this, and as the socialists were dragged out, they muttered, "Sorry, boys, we couldn't help it."
That
Which I just like think is so
that's
like
just a
so
perfect.
Democrats are gonna be
Yeah,
Democrats, right?
that's peak Democrat. You know, that
It's
like
peak
we're
Democrat. Like
not going
the
to
cops
stop you
drag you out, and they're
from.
like, "Oh, we're so sorry."
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
um,
and,
so
yeah, and there's so after they were kicked out, right? So I know, you said the article, there was there's a trial. I think you said some account said only the lobbyists were sober,
yes,
uh,
yes, yes,
which is
yeah. The
amazing.
trial just totally after the verdict, and the it was upheld that the socialists should be kicked out, and then just like everyone is drinking, and one of their colleagues says they should be strung up to the nearest lamppost with their feet dangling in the air. Um, but but they there was a special election held to
Mhm.
fill the seats, since those districts were now unrepresented, and all five of the socialists were reelected.
So which is great too, because that means we're at the exact 100 years
Exactly.
from that happening this
So
fall.
our victory is a lovely way to celebrate the centennial of that. It was a short-lived victory
Right.
because because they were expelled again. Three of them were
Right, right,
expelled
right, right,
again,
right.
and the other two resigned in solidarity. Um, and But a number of them ran later and were reelected. And,
Yeah.
so like they just they nevertheless persisted. So
Yeah, 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 yeah,
as
yeah,
we
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
done, and now
Which
as we've
might be
done
even
now
a more
100 years later.
impressive instance, maybe, of persistent
Yes,
than the
exactly.
one that one. But
Trying to reclaim it, I guess.
I like it. Uh, so yeah. Oh, and by the way, I should ask somebody in the Q&A was wanted to hear your reaction to the Cory Bush victory in Missouri, going along with what we've been talking about.
So, oh, so exciting. I mean, just such a wonderful, wonderful victory. Yeah. And I I heard that I have heard from people active in police issues, and those movements, and socialists, that she is a real comrade. I mean, this is
Nice.
this is one of those things, one of those developments that is as good as it looks, which is really nice in politics. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
no, absolutely. Especially
Yeah.
circling back,
Yeah, sometimes you think, oh, maybe if I knew more about this, I'd be really disappointed. But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
turns out actually,
Actually, this particular case, if you knew more
this
about it, it's
really
even
is
better.
good news. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, I just wanted to close out with at the end of your article, you quote Morris Hillquit, who was one of the main leaders of the Socialist Party in 1920, as well as serving as a defense lawyer for the Socialist
Yeah.
Assemblymen when they were being purged.
Yeah.
And this is just such a perfect uh, way to cap it off. I love this so much. Henceforth, it will be a Finnish fight between social democracy and capitalist absolutism. The fight is only beginning. The socialists are ready for it.
It
Okay.
seems very timely. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. So so yeah, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Ben. What a delight. And congratulations on the new show.
Thank you so much.